Hello everybody and welcome back to another video on the channel. Today I'm going to be doing a collection update for my 1 to 400 scale model aircraft fleet. So recently I've done some unboxings and airport updates. Recently did film a big unboxing for a number of Soviet aircraft. However, the video well exceeded the limit that my editor would allow me to update or to upload, and therefore I've decided to scrap that just because it's going to be a bit too hard to upload. But in this video, as I said, I'll be reviewing my collection of 1 to 400 aircraft. And I've been putting this video off a little bit just for the sake of the thinking that there'd be more models on the way. But I kind of realised there's probably always going to be more models on the way, or something on a wish list that we'll be getting here. So if I just keep putting it off, we'll probably never get around to it. But I do anticipate that these videos will be uploaded semi-regularly, just because the collection is expanding quite rapidly. We'll start off with these 6 models here, which I'll get to shortly. And these models are just on the airport at the moment, obviously. Not in the main cabinet, which I'll show after this, just due to the fact that they are either broken, or at the moment a couple of them are not broken, but just don't fit in the cabinet because I'm waiting another shelf to get here to actually have a bit more room in the cabinet, and therefore some of the less important or favoured aircraft have been put here. So we'll start off with this aircraft here, which is the Continental Airlines 747-100 by Dragon Wings. And this has been a parts donor for the most part. It's missing a few tyres on the main gear. The front gear is a mock-up of different gears from other broken aircraft. And a few different things are broken on it, so it's not on display at the moment. Next to that, we have the United Airlines 767-200 by Dragon Wings in an older scheme of theirs. There's nothing actually broken about this aircraft. It's just one of my older models that isn't overly exciting and therefore doesn't need to be featured in the cabinet. Next to that, we have this blank white A319 by Dragon Wings. This used to be an Air Canada example, and it was kind of the very first aircraft conversion I went through, and the aim was just to get it into a private jet kind of state, but it hasn't been done very well, and some of the windows are scratched off and it just looks quite tacky. Next up, we've got the American Airlines L188 Electra. This is a slightly damaged gear, but other than that isn't too bad. That's a Dragon Wings model. Next up, we have the Dragon Wings Southwest 737-700 in some kind of special scheme. This is obviously missing the front nose gear. I actually bought it this way. These tend to go for about $40 as far as I'm aware, but I got this one for $10 because it didn't have the front gear. I do have other Dragon Wings 737s, so if I ever need to display this, I do have a spare gear for it. And finally here we have a Pan Am DC-7, and this doesn't have any gears whatsoever. I believe it was like a Gemini Jets or JC Wings or something model, but I got it like this for free because it didn't have any gears, and as such it kind of just sits in the corner. Anyway, we'll move on to the main cabinet, which is lots more extensive and quite full at the moment. So here we find the main cabinet of 1 to 400 models. Everything in here except one aircraft is 1 to 400 scale, and with the exception up here we have my other scale models, which again are somewhat damaged, so I'll go through these first just because they're less exciting. Here we have a Qantas Link Q400 in the old livery. This is 1 to 200 scale and I believe is made by JetX. Next up we have an Aer Lingus Fokker 50. I'm unsure of the manufacturer of this aircraft. It is missing the front nose gear. Other than that, there's no physical damage to it. I believe this is either 1 to 200 or 1 to 250 scale. The only reason I suggest 1 to 250 scale is because comparing the Fokker 50 and the Q400 in real life, I feel like the Fokker 50 looks about on par with it, however it's significantly smaller here. And last here we have the Rovos Air Convair 440 or 340, I'm not sure. It's a Convair, and this is a Herpa Wings 1 to 200 scale one. And I believe this aircraft actually suffered an accident in real life not too long ago. Moving to the front, we have my 1 to 500 scale models. Here we have the Qantas 747-400 by Herpa, missing the front nose gear. Here we have the Cathay Pacific L1011 TriStar in an old livery. This isn't a Herpa one, I'm unsure of the manufacturer. Next up we have the Herpa Viaza Venezuela DC-10. That's a very old 1 to 500 scale model. And finally, we have the Ansett Australia 767-200, which is currently missing its tail, obviously. I've got to re-glue that. And as well as two DC3s here, which are probably 1 to 200 scale or 1 to 250 or something. One is a British European Airways and the other is obviously a Dan Air London. Other than the two DC3s, I didn't actually pay for any of these aircraft. I don't collect for any scale other than 400 scale, but I was kindly given these by someone who was parting with much of their collection, and I've made use of them up here. Move into the main cabinet now, which is where the most interesting stuff is. I'll start at the bottom with the largest aircraft, and right at the very back here, the largest aircraft in my collection is the Herpa Wings Antonov AN225 Mariah in its current livery. It's got a little bit of damage to the nose gear, but that is now a very sought after model, being that the 225 was sadly destroyed in the Ukraine invasion. Next to that, we have the Antonov AN124-100M in the Antonov Airlines livery by Gemini Jets. This was the recent release with the Rego UR-82027. Next to that, we have the Volga Dnepr Airlines Antonov AN124. This is with registration RA82047 and is the old 2004 Gemini Jets release. Next to that, we have my only good A380. This is the Gemini Jets Emirates A380 with the 2015 Cricket World Cup decal on it. This aircraft is, as I said, my only real decent A380, because the next one, which is this one, is the Dragon Wings Qantas A380. And it's just quite unsightly, to be honest. The wings being plastic really don't suit the A380 just because of how big they are. And the aircraft just doesn't have a very solid feel to it, but that is in the old livery and is with Rego VH-OQA. Moving to the front row, we have my 747s, or most of them. We have the Silkway West Cargo 747-8 freighter. This is my only 748 freighter. This is a wonderful Gemini Jets model. Next up, we have the Qantas 747-400 in what was the latest livery they received by Phoenix Models. They released quite a few of these. This is with Rego VH-OEE. Next to that, we have a very old Gemini Jets Qantas 747-400. This is also VH-OEE, but bears the old Qantas scheme. Next to that, we have my Seoul 747-400 freighter. That is the Singapore Airlines Cargo 747-400 freighter. I believe this is a blue box or a big box model or something of the like. I used to have a number of 744 freighters with this, as well as like a TNT one and a Atlas Air one. However, I sold those two off, so now it just leaves this one. And finally here we have the Dragon Wings Lufthansa 747-200 in the old livery with the bare metal undercarriage. And this is a wonderful aircraft, even for Dragon Wings. I think they've done a good job of this one. Moving over to the much more extensive second shelf. If we go to the back here, we have the Cathay Pacific A340-600. I believe this is a Hogan Wings model. And this is actually the only A340 in my collection at the moment. Very nice model. Next to that, we have the Cathay Pacific 777-300ER by Phoenix Models in the old livery. And a bit awkward with the aircraft on stands here, but we have the Cathay Pacific 777-200 by Phoenix Models again. Next to that, we have the Etihad 777-200LR in the old livery by Phoenix. That's a wonderful looking aircraft. Next to that, we have the Scoot 777-200ER by Phoenix. I apologise for all the wings and everything in the way. As I said, I'm awaiting another shelf for this, so hopefully it won't be as cramped next video. And at the very back there, we have the only A359 in my collection, and that is the Singapore Airlines A350-900 by JC Wings. That's a wonderful aircraft, great mould on that one. Moving over here, we have the Qatar Amiri Flight 747SP by NG Models, and the NG 747, or the SP is the only one they've currently released, is just an amazing looking model. They've really nailed the 747, and this aircraft was one of the very last 747 SPs flying. I believe it operated with Amiri Flight until 2018. Next to that, we have the Qatar A350-1000. This was the early Gemini Jets release of it with registration A7-ANA. And on the stand here, we have another Qatar Airways aircraft. This is the Dragon Wings A330-200 in the blue Asian Games 2006 livery. Next to that, we have the JC Wings AirAsia X A330-300 in some kind of special scheme, I believe. And next up in the back there, a bit awkward to see, we have a Malaysia Airlines A330-300 by Phoenix. This is in their older scheme. And next up in front of that, we have a Dragon Wings Royal Australian Air Force A330 MRTT. I think this was the Paris Air Show 2007 schemes. It doesn't actually have an Australian rego on it. And this is one of the first 400 scale MRTTs released. Next up back there we have the Gemini Jets Qantas A330-300 in the new livery. Yeah, very nice model. Here on the stand we have the Dragon Wings United Airlines 777-200 in the old Battleship Grey livery. And just down the end here we have the Phoenix Qantas 7879 in the Ballaringi Dreaming livery. This was the first release of that Ballaringi Dreaming, and it is a bit of a shame that the orange-red colour hue is not present throughout the model. It's all just this deep red colour rather than the colour fading like the real aircraft has. Moving to the front here we have a Korean Airlines or Korean Air 787-9. Unfortunately this aircraft does have some wing fading. I explained that on my last update of AEC. Next up we have the Thai Airways 787-9. This was actually my first Gemini Jets model, before that it was all just Dragon Wings. Here we have the United 787-8 by Gemini Jets. Unfortunately, both the 788 and the 789 from Gemini feature the cradle mould. The 78X, or the 787-10, actually was quite a good mould from Gemini. I used to have the Emirates one of that, but I did sell that off. Next up here we have the Dragon Wings Edelweiss A330-200. Very nice. Here, this is a new model and probably one of my favourite in the fleet at the moment. This is a Transaero Ilyushin IL-86 by JC Wings. Now the IL-86 is a very rare aircraft in 400 scale, and I almost bid $400 on one of these on eBay and ended up losing the auction. However, I did come across this as well as two others, those being a Trans-European and Uzbekistan one, and I actually got all three for less than the price of that, so that's fairly good. Next up here we have the Rossiya, or Russian Special, or Russian State Transport, I believe, IL-96-300, and this is the older Phoenix one with the rego RA96019, which was actually the aircraft to undergo the recent flight to Washington to bring back expelled Russian diplomats. So that's something interesting. And here on the end here we have the Air Niugini 767-300. This is actually a custom model. I explained much about that in my AEC update as well. This used to be the Japan Airlines 767-300. Next up we'll move to the even more extensive top shelf. Right at the end there we have a Shanghai Airlines 767-300 in the Star Alliance livery. Next to that we have a blank white 767-300 which is ex-China Eastern Airlines. It's now just a freighter. Back there, which is unfortunately quite hard to see, we have a Dragon Wings Airbus A300 Beluga, number 4, in the Super Transporter scheme. Should mention this, the Star Alliance 767 is Dragon Wings. This one is, I believe, in-flight 400. Next here we have a Dragon Wings Emirates A300 with the Dubai Shopping Festival 2000 sticker. Next to that we have a JASDF 767-200, or E767 I believe it's called. It's an ex-AWACS aircraft, however the dome has been taken off. I explained much about that in my Air Force Base update. Back there we have a Gemini Jets Air 2000 757-200, which is my only 757. And another type I only have one of at the moment, there will be another one coming soon, is the Pan Am A310-300. That was, I believe, my first ever 400 scale model. And finally on the end here we have the Varig Brazil DC-1030 by Dragon Wings. Moving to the next row, we have, this is a lovely model by NG Models. This is the Las Vegas Sands L1011 TriStar. It was one of the last active L1011 TriStars. I believe it retired somewhere around the 2013-2014 time. Las Vegas Sands still operate a 747 SP, one of the last operational ones of those, as well as I believe a fleet of A340-500s and other business configured aircraft, but this is a wonderful scheme and a wonderful mould from NG. Next up we have the Royal Australian Air Force C-17 by Gemini Jets. This is the old 2007 I believe release. Next to that we have the US Air Force C-17 by Gemini Jets. This is the Martinsburg Air Force Base one. Here on a stand we have the Dragon Wings US Air Force B-1B Lancer. Unfortunately this isn't on with the swing wing. I believe only the Gemini Jets one had that. Next to that we have the Luftwaffe A400M by Gemini Jets. This is a wonderful mould of aircraft. Unfortunately the tail is plastic, which is a bit of a downfall, but other than that it's a wonderful aircraft. Next to that we have a pair of very rare models. This is the Aero Classics Iraqi Airways Ilyushin IL-76MD. And next to that we have the Witty Wings Volga Dnieper IL-76 TD-90VD. And IL-76 is a rarity in 400 scale. The Volga one is especially rare and one of only 2 models to be released with the PS90 engines, which are a much larger size engine, same as what is seen on the IL-96 and the Tu-204. Next to that we have the Pacific Air Express 727-200 freighter by Aero Classics, and here we have the Phoenix Uzbekistan Tu-154M. That is a wonderful aircraft. The new Phoenix mould is probably the best out there at the moment, other than the new NG Tu-154s, which will be exciting. And finally on the end there we have a Czechoslovensky Airlines or Czech OKJet Tupolev Tu-154M, this one by Aero Classics. Moving up here we have another Czechoslovensky Airlines aircraft. This is the Gemini Jets Ilyushin IL-62M, and a wonderful aircraft this one. This is a very rare IL-62. This is the Russian State Transport IL-62M. In the older scheme, and this is one of very few IL-62s still in operation today. I believe this, along with some other Russian Air Force examples, the Air Koryo North Korean government, and perhaps the Sudanese Air Force, are some of the very last operators of the IL-62. Another Russian state transport aircraft, this is a new release from NG, relatively new, the Tupolev Tu-204-300. Next up we have my only 707 type mould. This is the US Air Force KC-135R from New Jersey Air Force Base. The Gemini KC-135 is just actually a wonderful aircraft, wonderful mould, and this livery suits it brilliantly. Next up here we have the Gemini Jets ATI, Air Transport International DC-872 freighter. This is a very long aircraft. I believe it's my biggest narrow body aircraft. This is an older 2008 Gemini Jets model. Next to that we have the Vietnam Airlines A321neo by Gemini Jets, very nice. And here, a relatively new model to the collection, we have the JC Wings CityLink Airbus A320neo. This is just the plain scheme without, I believe, the 20 or 50 years decal that one of them got. Next to that we have the Dragon Wings Air New Zealand All Blacks A320. This is in the older All Blacks A320 scheme. Next to that we have the Jetstar A320 by Phoenix, a very old model in the old livery. And finally on the end there, a Jetstar A320 with winglets, again by Phoenix, although this is a Jetstar Hong Kong version with a B-red gel on it. Moving to more Australian narrow bodies, we have the Qantas fleet, which consists of this Dragon Wings older livery Qantas 737-800. The Gemini Jets new livery 737-800 for Qantas. Gemini Jets Retro Aru 737-800, again Qantas. Here we have this Phoenix Virgin Samoa 737-800, which was operated as Virgin Australia in my airport updates, because at the time I bought this, Virgin Australia 737s were almost impossible to find. Next to that we have the Basic Malaysia 737-800, and I believe this is in some sort of hybrid scheme for Batik, although perhaps this is their standalone livery. I know there are a few variations for this scheme. Here we have the Royal Australian Air Force P-8 Poseidon by Gemini Max. The Virgin Blue 737-700, I believe this is an old Phoenix model. Really like how they've put the touch of red on the landing gear there. Next to that we have the Virgin Australia Fokker 100 by JC Wings. Another relatively new model, the Czechoslovensky Airlines Ilyushin IL-18. IL-18s are quite a rare find in 1:400 scale. Do actually have another one on the way, that is the new YU model. I believe it's the PLAAF IL-18, which is again the Aero Classics mould. This one is another Aero Classics one. Here we have the Qantas Link 717-200, an old Phoenix release, this one. The Gemini Jets Qantas Link Q400 in the old livery, a very nice model. On the end here, a bit damaged, but we have a JetX Australian Air Express BAE 146 100 series. Here we have an old JetX TNT BAE 146 200 series. Here is this is actually the 1 to 500 exception I have in here. This is a Herpa 1 to 500 scale National Jet BAE 146. And the reason I add this is because they never released a 146 in 400 scale, and this is a aircraft I use on my updates and within my collection, as National Jet is now Cobham, an airline which operates out of my local airport of Adelaide. And the final aircraft we have here, actually the second to last, there's a couple more I need to actually show, is the Rex Saab 340B by Gemini Jets, which is my smallest model in 400 scale. Forgot to showcase these aircraft on stands. At the back here we have a Dragon Wings Max Jet 767-200. Very nice. And the final aircraft up the front here is a Dragon Wings US Air Force C-130 Hercules. Unfortunately missing a propeller, but other than that, a very nice aircraft. Fortunately doesn't want to focus. And that pretty much concludes this video. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, please leave a like, comment, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. I hope to see you in the next video. See ya.